It is time for football.
It's
Week 5 of the NFL
again.
season. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Week 5 NFL football podcast right here, where I'm joined with James Douglas Marsh.
Or you can call me JD. Just don't call me late for dinner.
All right, and I am Dylan Marsh, and we consider ourselves to be a pretty big deal. So,
just for our college football podcast listeners, I forgot to mention on our latest podcast, our records on our pick'ems is I am JD, I am 13-9, and Dylan is beating me right now. He is 16-6.
of course I am. Is there any shock about that? Is there any shock right now?
And in our NFL pick'ems, I am 17-14, joined with Dylan also being 17-14.
See? You just can't get past me, man. Can't get past me. So a long season.
It's going to happen this year. I promise. This week. This week, I'm going to surpass you in both of them.
All right. Well, let's check that out. Let's go ahead and let's make our predictions.
Yep.
I'm going to start making podcasts about big news in the NFL, giving my opinions about it and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for that coming up right after this podcast. I will record that stuff with Odell, whatever his name is, Beckham Jr. I don't know, call him Crybaby. That's all you got to do. All the situations with Cam Newton, concussions, and all that stuff, and not treating him like a real quarterback, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get on to our predictions for Week 4 of the NFL.
It's Week 5
Week
of the
5
NFL
season. That's right.
And it kicks off on Thursday night as the Arizona Cardinals, who are 1-3, having a disappointing season so far, travel to Santa Clara, California, to take on the 1-3 San Francisco 49ers. Divisional matchup, I am just going to go ahead and throw it out there. I think Arizona's going to win this game. I think the 49ers defense is terrible. I think they just played up to expectations with this being a new team coming into this league with LA. I thought the 49ers played well that first game. And with Navarre Bowman now out for the year, I think that defense is just going to fall apart even more. And I think Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer are going to hook up for a huge night and give me the Cardinals to win this ball game.
All right. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get this in there.
Okay.
All right. Give me the 49ers because Carson Palmer's most likely out with a concussion that happened last week. And I think it's...
Did not know that. Sorry, folks.
Carson Palmer is most likely going to be out with concussion symptoms from last week. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm taking the 49ers just because of the 49ers defense is awful, but the Cardinals defense hasn't shown a lot either. I know they should be one of the best in the league, but they're not showing hardly anything this year to make me think that they'll beat the 49ers without Carson Palmer. Palmer was in to be a whole different story, but Carlos Hyde, running back for the 49ers, is starting to hit his stride, and I think he'll have a huge game Thursday night, so I'm picking the 49ers.
All right. And now on to our next game. Coming off a very disappointing loss and really close to my heart. The New England Patriots, matter of fact, will I say the Brady back Patriots. Because Tom Brady comes back. Travel to Cleveland, Ohio at First Energy Stadium to take on the pitiful Browns, who are 0-4. Dylan, I'll let you go first.
Patriots. Even without Brady, Patriots.
That's all you got to say?
That's all I got to say. But I will say this. I despise the Patriots. But whenever I like the Patriots, it's because Tom Brady is back, folks. And he is my fantasy quarterback now for the remainder of the season, which means I'm going to be rolling in some dough because Brady is back. And
don't get your hopes up.
That's
boy.
why. That's why.
Don't get your hopes up.
Why they're going to beat the Browns.
Don't get your hopes up.
Even if Brisket was playing or Garoppolo or whatever,
get their names right, please.
And you got Frady playing. He's back, one of the best of all time. So I'm going to take the Patriots just because the Browns are just god-awful with their first two quarterbacks out with injury, and they have Cody Kessler playing, and they cannot finish playing against the Dolphins. And so, yeah, there's no way. I say Browns score 6 points, 2 field goals. So give me the Pats.
All right, and on to our next game. We have the New York Jets traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Dylan, you go first in this one.
Oh, well, after the Steelers, the Steelers were embarrassed by the Philadelphia Eagles, who have shown to be a real threat, I think so. And they come back and they just humiliate Kansas City with a 43-14 victory, with Antonio Brown and Big Ben just having career games. I think the momentum's rolling with them, with the Steelers and the Jets and Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick has thrown 10 interceptions this year. 10 interceptions. The dude went to Harvard. You think he'd make smart decisions. But the forte is not exactly what they wanted from him.
Dylan, Antonio Brown wasn't even the lead receiver in that game last week for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, well, the reason I said that is because he had a touchdown and the best celebration I've ever seen, and still got flagged for
touchdowns.
It. But all I care about was that celebration, because I almost peed myself laughing when I saw it. All right.
It was awesome.
So I'm taking the Steelers just because they're still my number 2. Okay, no, I'm going to say number 3 now this week. And if I had power rankings, they would be number 3 behind the Patriots and the Vikings. So I'm taking the Steelers just because of how their offense is just on a roll. They have Le'Veon Bell back. Bell had a great game in his season debut, and the defense will be able to hold the Jets' offense. I say that they get at least 2 interceptions. So I'm not a fantasy expert, but if you have the Steeler defense, I'd play them.
I'm right there with you. I think the Steelers are going to win this ball game on the sole fact that they now have a dominant run game to set up the deep pass to Antonio Brown, and it's just they got too many options on the offense for the Jets defense to slow it down. And yes, Fitztragic is going to throw. I say he has 2 picks in this game, and give me the Steelers with a 17-point victory. And on to our next game, which is going to be quite a contest, as we have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling, who are 2-2 by the way, traveling to Jerry's World to take on the 3-1 Dallas Cowboys. I'll let you go first on this one, Dylan.
All I can say is Dak Prescott, man. Right now, of what I've seen of how he controls a football game, that if Tony Romo comes back healthy, and they're on a roll as they are now, because he's starting to get a flow of the NFL game where he's starting to score touchdowns and not just run. He's starting to throw touchdowns, managing the game like a veteran. And the Bengals with Andy Dalton, this is I agree with what you said. This is going to be a great football game. But this is Cowboys at home. And when I went down to Dallas, Dak Prescott is like number 3 in everyone's lives right now. It's like God, family, Dak Prescott, then the Cowboys. He is the big thing down there right now, and he looks so comfortable playing as a rookie, so young. He's got great poise, so confident, and you can't go against that. So I'm taking the Cowboys in a great football game against the Bengals. I think solely because of home field advantage. I think if it was in Cincinnati, I'd have a little bit tougher time choosing. But I'm picking the boys in this game. Go Dak!
Yeah, I think what a lot of people aren't talking about with the Cowboys is I believe their defense is extremely underrated. Because it was underrated last year, even though everybody said that it wasn't.
No, their defense is not that good.
No, it is good, Dylan. If you think about it, they were
they're starting to turn their wheels a little bit.
Dylan, last year they were losing games 13-12. Their offense couldn't move the ball, and their defense was on the field.
I'm not talking about
so
last
much.
year, JD.
And now it's finally turning around, and their defense is getting rest. And I'm right there with you. I have the Cowboys winning this ball game, but I have it being a very close game by a safety or 1 point. Because I believe I'm right there with you. Dak can. It's amazing the poise he shows in the pocket. From a rookie, I'm looking at him and I'm seeing another Brady back there with the poise he has and the decision making. And the way Ezekiel Elliott is starting to finally run the football behind that great offensive line I think they're going to have a good game against the struggling Cincinnati defense. I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think Dallas's defense will make enough plays for them to get that victory.
Okay, I'm just because you said that, I'm just going to get a point out to you. You were talking about Cowboys defense last year.
Yeah,
they gave up 19 points to the Giants, which is pretty decent because Giants always seem to have a great offense with Eli Manning behind center. But then they gave up 23 points to Kirk Cousins and the Redskins, where the whole team is turning their back on their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, and a team that does not play well as a team. They gave up 23 points, and they gave up 17 points to Chicago. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they had Brian Hoyer at quarterback, and Brian Hoyer had a great game, 30 for 49, 317 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if you let Brian Hoyer do that to you, they didn't let him score. Their red zone was great, but what killed the Bears in that game were turnovers. They had 2 fumbles and an interception. And then last week they go and play San Francisco, and that's 17 points right there, given up with Blaine Gabbert and Carlos Hyde.
I will say the pros. They're going to score at least 17 points a game.
I'm just saying, Cowboys defense is not exactly what you think it is, but I think it's just last year that everything fell on them to where they had to make those stops. This year it's not the same because they have a decent quarterback. All right, next one.
All right,
I feel the tension between us now.
We have the undefeated 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Detroit to take on the 1-3 Lions. I'll go first in this one. The Eagles defense is playing phenomenal right now, and Carson Wentz, just like Dak Prescott, is showing a lot of poise, making great decisions. And I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one, just on the sole fact of how well their defense is playing. And I believe that their offense with Carson Wentz is going to be able to move the ball down the field against that Detroit defense and make some big plays and get out of there with a victory.
Look at me. Look at me in my eyes.
I'm talking to you.
I'm taking the Lions. I think Lions are going to hand the Eagles their first loss because it's at home. Stafford's going to put up 60 attempts, and at least 3 of them are going to land in the end zone, I'm sure. So I'm gonna say that the Lions seem to be the team that always upset good teams at home. It's how it's usually been in the past. So I'm going to take the Lions because this is a big game for both teams. Eagles trying to stay perfect. Carson Wentz going on the road. I know they don't have Ndamukong Suh anymore. The Lions defense isn't that great, but I just have a gut feeling. I'm going with the Lions because of Stafford and also because of Theo Riddick. I think he'll have a great game against this Eagle defense who struggles a little bit with dual threat, I guess say running backs who can catch the football. So I'm going with the Lions on this one.
All right, and on to our next game. We have the Chicago Bears traveling to Indianapolis, Indiana, to take on the Colts.
What did I do? Microphone came out. Oh, God. Okay, we're good.
All right, don't go.
Oh, okay, no, who is it again?
The Bears and Colts.
Yeah. The Bears versus the Colts. Okay, well, as you heard me rant about the Bears earlier, how awful I think they are, I'm going to take the Colts just solely because they have Andrew Luck. And I don't think Andrew Luck is going to, I guess you can say, cluster against this Bears defense. I'm going to go with Andrew Luck controlling the game. It's going to be a very low-scoring game. I say the Colts by 3.
I'm actually disagreeing with you on this one. I'm going to go with the Bears, who just got their first victory last week. And the reason why I'm picking the Bears is because Andrew Luck in that Colts offense will be able to move the ball against that Bears defense, but I don't think they're going to be able to move it as much as the Bears are going to be able to move the ball against the Colts defense, because the Colts defense is not very good at all. And I think that the Bears offense has finally found their rhythm, and they're going to make plays with Alshon Jeffrey and Kevin White. And Zach Miller, out of all people, is coming out of nowhere and making plays. So I got the Bears winning this game by 3 points.
You're fired. I don't know why I have you on this thing ever after picks like that. All right, whatever.
All right. Next game, we got the Tennessee Titans traveling to Hard Rock Stadium to take on the Miami Dolphins.
Go ahead, kiddo.
Titans, their offense is terrible. Even though DeMarco Murray had 2 touchdowns last week, and with Ndamukong Suh stuffing up that middle, I think that will cause a lot of chaos and put the Tennessee Titans defense in a lot of bad spots. And I think Jarvis Landry will go for a huge day. And give me the Dolphins.
You said that 3 weeks in a row.
Give me the Dolphins to win by 10. That's, I guess, because he's one of my fantasy receivers. So
yeah. Well, no, he's been doing good. I'm just saying it's like the 3rd week in a row he said he's going to have a huge game. It's in Miami in a new renovated stadium, so their stadium doesn't look like a garbage can out there anymore. It's not, people actually come to the games now because the sun's not beating down on them. They actually have cover. They have shade. People are actually coming to their games now. It's actually getting kind of loud of what I heard during the Browns game a couple weeks ago. So fan base is coming back to Miami, I feel like, or at least coming to the games. Tennessee, their defense is awful. The offense is not moving the football at all. The quarterback only has 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Murray's having a decent year. Derrick Henry is nowhere to be found. So I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins just because of their defensive line. I think they're gonna get to Marcus Mariota a lot because the Titans' offensive line is just garbage. So give me the flippers of the sea.
All right, and on to our next game. We have the Washington Redskins, who are 2-2, traveling to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who are 3-1.
Well, James, I'm a really big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. I really am. I actually love his poetry. I loved The Raven, and I loved his other stuff. But Washington, I'm impressed with their defense these past couple of weeks. The offense, not so much. Kirk Cousins, he's having a good year. It's just no one likes him in the locker room. Reports are coming out that no one likes him. They do not like him. They want Colt McCoy starting because Colt McCoy is a better leader, and they say they don't have that on the offensive end of the football. But I did say at the beginning of the season that I predicted Baltimore to be in the Super Bowl, and they're 3-1. Their defense is looking great. Steve Smith Sr. is not looking like his younger self, but he's not looking like a very old wide receiver. He's having a decent year, especially last week he started opening up and got his first touchdown of the year, I believe. So I'm gonna go with the Edgar Allan Poes of Baltimore. I want to go with the Ravens solely because of their defense. I think they'll cause a lot of turnovers. So give me the
All right.
That was a fake laugh.
I'm going with the Ravens too.
Jeez. Oh, they're always going to be tied now.
The Redskins are just their defense is good. Their offense is mediocre. But I don't believe they're going to be able to move the ball against the Ravens, and I believe Joe Flacco is going to hook up with Steve Smith.
Wait, you mean in football, right? Just in football terms?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, I wasn't sure.
I
don't follow them that closely. I don't know how they are.
But yeah, I have the Ravens win this game by, like the spread is, 4 points. I think they'll get the job done at home and improve to 4-1.
I have an alert. This is nothing about NFL football or football in general. Orioles and Blue Jays fighting for that wild card spot to play the Rangers in the ALDS are tied 2-2 in the middle of the 11th.
Wow.
So that's something that's going to be great. I think the playoff this year is going to be very exciting, especially if the Blue Jays play the Rangers. All right, enough about baseball. We'll talk about that later. Next game.
All right, and on to our next game. We got the team that is closest to Dylan's heart, the Houston Texans, traveling to the Minnesota Vikings.
Technically. Actually, yeah, no, you're right. Actually, no, technically the team closest to my heart is the Dallas Cowboys because they are 3 hours away and not 4 like the Texans. So,
Dylan, you know what I mean.
No, I take everything literal. All
right, who do you got in this game?
Oh, my gosh. Houston Texans are 3-1. Brock Osweiler. Okay, I'm about to rant. We're 3-1, but we do not deserve to be 3-1. Brock Osweiler does not deserve that huge $40 million guaranteed contract. He is playing average at best. 90 for 146. Cricket sounds right there. 949 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. This dude is being mediocre, not living up to the contract that the Texans gave him, which I was excited they signed him because we had a decent quarterback, but when I saw what we gave up for it, I was not excited at all. But Lamar Miller, I think, is the reason he's balancing out that offense to help us get these wins. He doesn't have a touchdown yet, but he's rushed for 351 yards. And then Will Fuller, the rookie sensation, is having a better year than DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins had 1 reception for 4 yards last week. But Minnesota, the Vikings, my God, where have they come from? They lose their starting quarterback, one of the best running backs in the league, and their left tackle, and they are in the top 2 best teams in the NFL. Their defense is, I've heard people say that it's an iconic defense. No. Back whenever they're the purple people eaters, whatever they called, that's an iconic defense. They got to keep this defense going for years to be iconic. But this is easily the best defense in the NFL right now. Their pass defense is amazing. So, kills me to say this. I'm going with the Vikings because it's in Minnesota and because the pass defense, the pass rush defense, they're going to get to Osweiler. They're going to tear up that Texans offensive line. And Sam Bradford he looks just perfect in that offense. So I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. It breaks my heart to say it. Come on, Texans, pull it out. But can't go against the Vikings right now.
Yeah, the Vikings defense is just swarming to the ball. The thing is that their defense plays almost mistake-free. Mm-hmm. And then Sam Bradford comes in there and runs an up-tempo when they get closer to the red zone, and then he slows it down to kill the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings, too. They're just so good at home right now.
And the Texans are dreadful
on the road.
On the road.
As their only loss has come on the road.
Exactly. And they barely win at home.
They get shut out on the road. But, yeah, I'm going to go to the Vikings in this one. I have them winning by at least 14.
I'm going to start a hashtag Texans for Saban. All right.
All right, on to our next game, which is a very intriguing game as we have the 3-1 Falcons who are 2-0 on the road, traveling to Denver to take on the 4-0 Broncos who are also 2-0 at home. Who do you have in this one, Dylan?
I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think I'm going to go with the Falcons because of, not because, yes, they played the Panthers and Julio Jones had 300 yards last week. And Julio Jones, I think that was a breakout game for him this season. He only had 188 yards the first 3 games. And now he had 300 yards, and now he's at 488 yards on the year with 3 touchdowns. But in my eyes right now, the MVP is Matt Ryan. Because, he played the Saints, but he lit up the Saints defense. Their defense is probably the worst in the league.
I mean, you could light up the Saints defense, Dylan.
I don't know. I'm pretty slow. But Freeman is having not a good fantasy year like everyone wants him to have, but he's having a decent year to stabilize that offense to keep it balanced. But Matt Ryan is just lighting up every defense he plays. 101 for 140, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. And yes, this Denver defense is iconic. I will say that they are iconic because last year they won the Super Bowl solely on their defense because they hardly had any offense. But they did have Peyton Manning, the greatest game manager of all time. But they don't have him anymore. They have Trevor Siemian. And, the Falcons.
Do you see who the Falcons just signed on?
No.
A.J. Hawk.
He left the Pack?
Yeah.
What? Well, after he cut his hair, I kind of stopped caring about him. DeMarcus Ware is not playing for the Broncos. The offensive tackle, Donald Stevenson's not playing. Their kicker is questionable. Trevor Siemian is also questionable because he hurt his throwing shoulder last week. So I think the injuries are going to cause them to lose just because, Paxton Lynch is going to play, but yet he looks like he was the better quarterback after Siemian got hurt. He had a heck of a fourth quarter, I guess you could say, with the Broncos last week. But I'm giving the Falcons I think Matty Ice. I actually hate that nickname. I don't know why I called him that. Matt Ryan. I think he's going to lead the Falcons to hand the Broncos their first loss.
I am disagreeing with you on this one, Dylan. I am going with the Broncos on the sole fact that their defense is going to make, as you said, Matty Ice force mistakes. He's going to be trying to get the ball to Julio, and those 3 cornerbacks between Harris, Talib.
Say it with your chest.
Come on, sound more confident.
And Roby, I just believe that they're going to be able to shut that receiving core down, and I believe Von Miller and Brandon Marshall in that front 7 will be able to will be able to shut down the run game between Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, and it's just so hard to win at Mile High Stadium, as you can see last year when the Patriots went up there and lost in the AFC Championship game. So give me the Broncos. And on to our next game. We have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams.
I'm still not used to that.
Who you got, Dylan?
Well, first off, I feel like, I know you want to go back to the old times and be the Los Angeles Rams, but when he changed cities, I thought you changed names too. I thought they're going to be like the Los Angeles Starlets or the Los Angeles Kardashians or something. I don't know. I felt like they should have changed from the Rams because there are no Rams in Los Angeles. Well, there's none in St. Louis either, but I don't know. Why doesn't Dodge sponsor them? Why is it not Dodge Stadium? That's what they should be.
I don't
Dodge
know.
Stadium.
Why don't you just make your pick?
Of course, I'm going with the Bills because they murdered the beloved Patriots last week. So I'm going with the Bills. Rex Ryan definitely got some confidence in that game. They're not going to have a great season, but I think the Rams are overrated. I think with Case Keenum as their quarterback is just not very convincing to me. They might be at home, but I'm going with the Bills.
We're disagreeing on a lot this week.
Well, thank goodness. Maybe we won't be tied for once.
I'm going with the Rams because after that meltdown in Santa Clara against the 49ers week 1, they have bounced back with a huge win, 3 huge wins, 2 of them against division opponents, one against the Seahawks at home, on the road at the Buccaneers, and on the road at the Cardinals. Their defense is playing very well right now, and their offense, even with Case Keenum at quarterback, is starting to move the football. And I believe that they will be able to dominate the line of scrimmage against the Bills and come away with a victory at home in front of that rowdy Los Angeles crowd that is starting to get their support. So give me the Rams.
All right.
And on to our next game, we have the San Diego Chargers traveling to Oakland to take on the Raiders.
Oh, man. So the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going to take them. I'm taking the Las Vegas Raiders because of Derek Carr. Derek Carr having one of the most low-key best seasons in the league, and no one's noticing him. Derek Carr, 104 for 153, 1,066 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 1 pick. And he's done that against the Saints, the Falcons, Tennessee, then also the Ravens, who they beat by 1 last week, which I think is actually pretty impressive. So it's hard for me to go against the Raiders just because I love Derek Carr so much, and Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper are just killing it right now. They have a great receiving set. Their defense is starting to form. So a couple of years, the Raiders are definitely be a force to be reckoned with in NFL. So give me the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going with the Raiders, too. The Chargers' defense is just terrible. So bad. It's so bad.
Have you ever choked on coffee before?
No, I haven't, but it's just so bad. And I think that defense of the Raiders is finally going to show up again. I predict that almost every week, but for the love of God, it's going to show up this week because even though the Chargers can move the ball, I think Khalil Mack's going to get a lot of pressure on Phillip Rivers. But give me Oakland to win this game.
If you look at the injury report for the Chargers, 3 defensive starters are questionable.
Does that include Joey Bosa?
Joey Bosa, questionable. Denzel Perryman, the linebacker, questionable. Brandon Flowers, their best secondary player, questionable. Also, Antonio Gates, questionable. And their starting offensive tackle, Dunlap, questionable. So, there's no doubt in the Raiders for this game. I feel extremely confident for that.
All right.
Pick.
On to the next game, which is the Sunday night football game between the New York Giants traveling to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers.
All right. Okay. I'll play a game real quick. Who is this? Who is this sports celebrity? Aaron Rodgers, and a bad man he is himself.
Stephen A. Smith.
He has
Stephen A. Smith.
Okay, JD, I knew you knew who it was. All right. But I agree with him every time he says that. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league because of his playmaking skills and because of his decision-making. This year, he's not doing – everyone thinks he's not doing as well as he usually is, which is not true because he has 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Look at that ratio. He's just not throwing the ball as much. And because he only has 617 yards passing, but he only has 94 attempts also. And after their loss to the Vikings, when everyone thought the Vikings were just nothing, that's when the Vikings showed up and everyone's like, oh, the Purple People Eaters are back, or whatever. But I'm going with the Packers just because of all the negative attention the Giants are getting with Odell Beckham Jr. and him whining about everything, and Eli Manning basically calling him out in public to the media, which I think is not going to bode well because Beckham is their best receiver, I guess you could say, with Victor Cruz slowly coming back from injury and Sterling Shepard easing his way into the league, who I think is going to be a huge star in the NFL later on in his career, Sterling Shepard. But no, I'm going with the Packers. It's in Lambeau. I think Rodgers is going to light up the $150 million Giant defense just because it's in Lambeau and it's a great atmosphere there. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be probably my favorite one to watch this week. But I'm going with the Cheeseheads.
Yeah, I'm going with the Packers, too. It's something about Aaron Rodgers, man. He plays just phenomenal at home on Sunday Night Football, it seems like. And when the whole nation is watching, that's when Aaron Rodgers plays his best.
Not against the Vikings.
At home, Dylan.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay, it's at home, and he's going to light up this defense, and I got Green Bay winning this one big. Because, like you said, the on the field and off the field issues between Eli Manning and Odell, that's going to cause havoc, and that Packers defense is going to get after Eli. I got the Packers winning big.
There are reports that kicking net's going to be on the same sideline as Odell Beckham Jr. again. So we'll see how that totes out.
And on to our last game, the Monday Night Football game. It's a divisional matchup as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Charlotte, North Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. Dylan, who do you have in this game?
It all comes down to if Cam Newton plays. He's questionable, but they believe he has a concussion, which I think he's not going to play. So I'm actually going to take Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because where is Carolina's defense gone? It seems like since they lost Josh Norman, who I don't even think is that great of a cornerback. He's good, but he's not as good as everyone says he is. It's because he's got a big mouth. But they give up 300 receiving yards to one receiver to the Falcons, Julio Jones, and 500 passing yards with Matt Ryan, with Cam Newton playing. And their quarterback, Cam Newton's their leading rusher with 147 yards on the year. He's not going to be playing, and he's most likely not going to be playing. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers just solely on the injuries. And I think Jameis Winston he'll have a pretty good game. Mike Evans, who I think is one of the most underrated receivers because he doesn't have a great quarterback. But yeah, I'm taking the Buccaneers in this game.
I'm taking the Buccaneers too on the sole fact that Cam Newton's not playing in the game. And it's bad. The reason why you're saying where is Carolina's defense gone? Well, they're on the field most of the game because for God knows why, their offense can't move the ball like they were last year. So it's forcing their defense to play more, and that is causing havoc for them. And that is why you're seeing all these offenses playing very well against their defense, who is supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league. But yeah, I got Jameis Winston going for a big day to Mike Evans, and give me Tampa Bay winning this game by 10.
All right. So that is our podcast for today. And if y'all want another report on what just happened in the wild card game, Edwin Encarnacion hit a game-winning walk-off home run in the 11th. The Blue Jays are facing the Rangers again. There will probably be another fist fight between Batista and Rufin Odor. So we will
him Odor, please.
I think that's going to be a great matchup. We will have podcasts now since MLB playoffs are now starting. It is October. So thank y'all for joining us. This has been 11:30 The Tiger NFL podcast. I'm going to have a podcast out about the news with just all the off-field issues going on in the NFL right now. So thank y'all for joining us, and y'all have a great day.